Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 83 of the Own the Moment podcast. My name is TJ Lasig. I'm one of the co-founders here at OTM, and we are back for another edition of the Owners Club Strategy Show, a Thanksgiving edition, an early afternoon edition. A lot of things going on today. We've got a big announcement coming up in about 5 minutes here. As always, we've got Justin and Bach joining me today. Justin, fresh off the wedding, fresh off the bachelor party. It's been it was a fun 2 weeks, don't get me wrong, but it's been kind of nice to just be back to a little bit of normal life the past 2 or 3 days. You feeling the same way?
Oh my gosh, I was exhausted. It was fantastic and all the memories, but ending it at 3 a.m. at anyone that's been to Clearwater, Florida area, a place called Shepherd's, which was like an outdoor club. The wife wore her dress there. Like, it was place I probably am never going to go again, but it was amazing at the time. It was fun. That music, that beat that Coop puts in, like, it's always pumping the blood. But when you know there's a big announcement coming in like 3 minutes, whew, I'm ready.
Ready. Bach, how are we doing? Looks like you are still traveling the world, given that you are not in your typical location. How are we doing today?
Yeah, out with the wife's family in New Mexico for the holiday. So that's fun. And just so pumped. Huge weekend of football. Obviously, go Buckeyes, right? Get to take down Michigan again this week. It's become an annual tradition at this point. But between Thanksgiving and good luck to everyone trying to figure out how to watch football and buy cards on the TOC marketplace and still keep your family happy. Thanksgiving Day, and then we've got the huge college football weekend. And then we just go to the normal NFL slate on Sunday, which is still going to be a blast. So what a week.
Thankfully, there's such a great mobile experience. You can kind of sneak in some marketplace action while watching the games.
Oh, yeah. It's, Thanksgiving is the classic. I'm around my family, but I'm secretly sweating all of these lineups that I have going on. So always a good time. And so I think that's kind of where we're at here. We've got in 2 minutes across the channels, the announcement's going to be coming out, some exciting stuff, and really looking forward to it. How are you guys thinking about the slate tomorrow in the 3 games that we have? We've got the Lions and the Bears, we've got the Raiders and the Cowboys, and then we have the Bills and the Saints. How are we feeling about the slate overall?
TJ, we can give the people in chat a minute or 2 minute
Ooh.
heads up than the rest. Come on.
They
came to the show. We don't need to talk football for the next 2 minutes, just to delay so it syncs up with the email, the Discord, and the Twitter.
Let's do it.
Give the people
So we've got 3
things. Heads up.
We've got 3 things that we have to announce here, all right? The first thing is withdrawals. So withdrawals will become available starting this Friday. All right, so starting Friday, you'll be able to go in on the site. You'll be able to fill out a form to request a withdrawal via PayPal. We are then going to be processing withdrawals on a weekly basis every Wednesday. So every Wednesday, withdrawals will be processed. It will then we should take between 48 to 72 hours to process that. That will happen on the PayPal side. So good news on the withdrawals front. And then on the second front, we are going to be having a Black Friday special sale beginning tomorrow at noon Eastern and running for 48 hours through Saturday at noon Eastern. So this is going to be sales for the purchases directly from the TOC website. If you buy 4 cards, you get 2 cards free. So essentially getting 6 cards for the price of a pack, since no more packs are available. And remember that each of these cards that you purchase, you will get an entry onto the wheel for the VIP trip to Miami. So buy 4 cards, you get 6 cards, and you get 4 entries onto the wheel. Again, this begins noon tomorrow. And then probably the most exciting part here, we know that people are pumped for the playoffs, and we are pumped as well. We don't want the Owners Club season to end in week 17 with the online final, with the live final. So we are going to be running our biggest contest yet during the playoffs, $100,000 in prizes. I do not have a graphic for this yet because this is just the teaser announcement, but it's going to be $100K. 300 places are going to pay out. There's going to be $20K up top to the first prize. It's going to start at the beginning of the playoffs, run through the entire thing. It's also going to be a new extended roster format. So you're going to need more than 5 cards in order to enter this tournament. more details are going to be coming out about this next week, but definitely would start preparing accordingly because lots up for grabs as we approach NFL playoff season.
I'm so pumped. I don't know if we're going to be able to do this every year. I am shocked that we were able to pull this off. $100,000, the biggest one. It's huge. And not only do we have that $20,000 to first place, which is the largest, a top payout we have had yet. And you don't have to qualify for it. There's no, you had to do X during the regular season. It's just, you've got cards, you're in. Still got those 3 entries, got some deeper lineups because so many people have so many cards, gives a little differentiation as well. And I mean, Bach, I know like the past 3 or 4 years that we've had various playoff contests, not to a C, but like other fantasy stuff. It's been the most fun, exciting part of the fantasy football season because the level of strategy that goes in where these lock right when the playoffs start, and that's your team through the playoffs, through the Super Bowl. So you get all those strategy elements of not only are you choosing the position groups, but also which teams you think are going to advance, how you build your teams so that there's like correlation. Like obviously you're not going to want to only pick people from maybe one conference because then if they lose out, there's a lot of strategy elements here. I am pumped. I think this is going to be so fun.
Yeah. And, we saw this like last year, Justin, I know you and I both did a lot of underdog best ball, started drafting that in like week 16, 17. That's the other element of this that is so fun, right? Like I guarantee there are teams out there in the marketplace right now that you probably wouldn't play in a normal week, but that have a really good chance of making the playoffs and that are not that expensive. And so, hey, maybe you don't have a ton of cards. You want to play the playoffs. You go take a chance on 3 or 4 of those 50-50 to make the playoff teams. And now you've got some lineups and you never know who's going to make a run in the playoffs. And, you build a little bit of game theory correlation there. It's just, there's so much strategy both in the weeks leading up to that contest locking. And then once all the playoff teams are actually finalized and how you figure out, do I play the teams that are playing the wild card game and get an extra game? Do I play the teams that aren't playing the wild card game but have a higher chance? Like there's so many ways to attack it and there's so much strategic value. And I mean, that's what we love here, right? Is like, there's 4 different ways to build a strategy to go play this game. And there's not one way you need to win. So super pumped for it.
Yes. Exciting times. So we're going to be coming out with more information on the exact format, exactly what the roster construction will look like. Seeing a question, still only one Joker. Those are the types of things that will be coming out. But yes, only one Joker. We can definitely talk about that now. 3 max entry, and should be a fun one. And I don't know anything else to add on it, Justin. I think we covered all the stuff.
I think we'll have more details coming, but we just wanted to make sure that we had that announcement as early as possible as well. So then before the cards, the singles potentially sell out during the sale, it gives everyone the opportunity for, if they did want to take advantage of the sale, to get more cards to, improve their chances with that playoff aspect, get that opportunity.
And come hang with us in Miami.
Yeah. All right. I'm down in South Florida right now. I've got contract papers over there that I'm signing to lock in our Sunday event venue as well as our welcome party. Woof. It's fun.
Good deal. So there it is. And again, let me do a little refresher here on the sale that begins tomorrow at noon. So 24 hours from now. And buy 4, get 2 free, and get your name on the wheel. And maybe pull some Thanksgiving cards and see how they perform throughout the day. Should be a fun week and fun rest of the season. So love it. Love the end of football season. Love playoffs. Gonna be fun times.
Okay.
Cool. Oh, you saw a question in Discord. If you buy 4, yes. If you buy the extra 2 will come before Sunday's games. So you buy the 4.
They may not come. Don't expect them to come immediately.
Yeah, they won't come immediately, but they will come before Sunday. So we will be processing everything after the sale ends Saturday at noon. So then it gives us 24 hours to make sure that everyone is squared away and gets their 2 extra And then, also, obviously, if you buy 8, you get 4 free, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. There's not. We should speak to this one too, right, Justin?
Week 18, there's no contest. It's the worst week of football just in general. We wanted full attention to be on the playoff contest. We may have some more fun, exciting things coming along, but no week 18. The week 17 is the big culmination with the online final, with the live final. Week 18 is a week off, and then it's focused. Let's go big on the playoffs and have a lot of fun there.
Yeah. We basically decided rather than have like a couple of smaller things that it would be more fun to just have one ginormous playoff contest.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, like you said, week 18 is like, whatever. Anyways, it's just not worth it.
Okay.
Should we get into some football?
Let's do it.
Cool. So I think what we're going to do for this week is kind of walk through each of the positions, do a little bit of a look at our projections for the week, do a little bit of talking through some prices on the marketplace and just some matchups that we like for the week. Obviously, put a little bit of focus on what we expect to happen during the Thanksgiving games tomorrow. But so a little different format this week than the typical walking through of the optimals.
Yeah, and I'll start off. Let's start off with some Thursday talk, because we're not going to talk too much from like a projection strategy. Do you play these? Do you not? All that, because you'll get there. You'll get to see what happens. But I think just from a conversational aspect, really good. TJ, I'm going to give a little shout out to Roto Grinders. You're an old fan. But here we have the top 3 are the top 6 rows. The top 3 are the games here. So we're starting off the day with Detroit versus Chicago. Low scoring game, it's looking like, which makes sense with those two offenses. Eventually, we've got to have I don't know, maybe we'll have a president who passes like a new amendment or something that says Detroit does not have to play on Thanksgiving any longer. It's bad. Always those rough games,
bad.
And we're not even going to get Justin Fields because I think he's got the rib injury. So it's going to be rough. Do we get Jared Goff even, Bach?
I think he is questionable, so not certain, but has a chance.
Oh, that could be a low ball contest. And we might be able to get 5 spots in the low ball there. I predict that at least 1 or 2 will come out of the championship low ball lineup will come out of that game.
I mean, Tim Boyle put up 77 yards passing last week. 77 yards. He had like 25 passing attempts and 77 yards. It's like I could do that. I mean, I'm actually not joking. I think I could do that in the NFL.
Yeah, you combine you with Brandon Ayuk, who was it? Oh, someone had like 11. Oh, Rondale Moore had 11 targets for like negative air yards. Yeah, just keep throwing it behind the line of scrimmage. Maybe something will work. All right, then we're moving over to a pretty exciting game, I think. Dallas versus Las Vegas. I think we definitely have some TOC opportunity there. We've got a pretty high total at 50.5. Dallas is just so interesting as well, because right now, like Dallas, Bach, do you have an injury report on wide receivers there? Are we going to get Cooper back from COVID? I know CD's in the concussion protocol. If not, Dalton Schultz, tight ends for both teams could be some huge cards.
Yeah, I don't think that we have anything definitive on either of the Dallas wide receivers. So here I'm reading Roto World right now from about 30 minutes ago. McCarthy says CD would practice with an eye towards playing. So, I mean, that's good. I'll check on Amari. Yeah, I mean, again, we're going to know the outcome before lock, but that Dallas tight end could be pretty valuable if either of those guys miss.
Yeah, and then I think the other.
So Amari's out.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the other, because I don't think he was vaccinated, so I think he's got that full 14-day that kind of prevents him. So yeah. And then, but without a doubt, I think the big card in play here is the Dallas running backs. That's the one that probably has the best chance, I think, across, maybe not counting Buffalo, and even maybe counting Buffalo, but Dallas running backs might be the card that has the best chance of being in that main lineup. Highest scoring, 7.5 point favorite, 29 projected points. They still have that. I think Zeke is questionable, but as we talked about last week or a week or two ago, Bach, I don't see Zeke missing any games. He knows the first time he misses a game, Pollard's taken over. Doesn't want that to happen. The 1-2 punch there is going to have a potential for a huge game on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, completely agree. And this is another one with a huge spread, but Las Vegas has put up big games in in the past, they didn't do well against Cincinnati last week, but they've gotten into shootouts with good teams before. This is another one of those where Las Vegas comes to play a little bit. And, I think this is already the highest or second highest total on the slate. So the second highest right now. And you could definitely see this turning into one of those games that really escalates if the Las Vegas offense is able to do a little bit better than they've shown the last couple of weeks.
Yep. Agreed. And then for the night game, we've got a game that might have been a bit more exciting if we still had Jameis, but then others are going to tell me, well, Simeon's been a top 10 QB, I think, the last 2 weeks, maybe 2 of the last 3 weeks. They've actually been putting up some solid numbers. Vegas doesn't see this being as too high scoring of a route. But I don't know. I'm still not going against Buffalo. That New Orleans defense is pretty strong. So I think that's what's probably going to slow the game down a bit and cap the upside. But all systems go for everyone on Buffalo in the passing game. I think the running game will have a bit of trouble against that Saints D. But in general, I think that'll be a fun game.
Yeah. And in the last 4 weeks, the Saints have put up 36, 25, 21, and 29 points. Now, a lot of those have kind of come in like a garbage time situation, but look, they all count the same for fantasy. Simeon's been able to move the offense. Buffalo's D's just been so good until last week when Jonathan Taylor happened. But Buffalo's D's been so good all season that, you imagine they're going to be fired up to play night game on the road. I wouldn't be super excited about playing Simeon, but he has shown better than I think expected when everyone was just like, yeah, it's going to be Taysom Hill soon.
Yep, agreed.
And I think that,
go for it.
Oh, go ahead.
That Jonathan Taylor game was insane. 5 touchdowns. Are you surprised to see that the Colts are at home 3-point dogs to Tampa?
I am not surprised to see that. I'm also not surprised to see that Vegas expects this to be a super high scoring game. I mean, here's the thing. Tampa Bay has been pretty good against the run this year. Indy is still relatively one-dimensional on offense, and they haven't been good on defense until last week. Like prior to last week, they'd had a few bad weeks in a row on D. So I think there's a lot of, there's definitely some reaction and probably some overreaction to last week's walloping of Buffalo because it was so unexpected and so one-sided. But Tampa Bay should be favored in that game, even on the road.
Yep. No, that's fair. I think that's a good take. All right. What were you going to say as well? And then we can.
Yeah, I was just going to highlight. I mean, I think it's a super interesting week because, 2 of our best offenses playing. We don't have Kansas City this week. We don't have Arizona this week. Of the remaining kind of best offenses in the league, we've got Buffalo playing on Thursday. We've got Dallas playing on Thursday. So, there's a lot of opportunity to get information. We've always said the Thanksgiving slate's going to be huge, but there's just there's going to be so many plays from Thanksgiving. And, if you're just now looking at the marketplace for Thanksgiving players, you're too late by 4 weeks, but you're still ahead of tomorrow. And so I would definitely be looking through that, today and saying, hey, what are some positions that we can target from the offenses that are playing and the game environments that are playing and see what we could potentially get that, gives us some value.
Yeah.
And even on top of that, right now, you've got the extra incentive for the teams like Dallas, certainly going to be a playoff team, Buffalo, playoff team. I think the Saints are right on the edge there. So you get a little bit of that extra value of a team that's going to make the playoffs. I would say their cards have definitely jumped up significantly in terms of their value for the remainder of the TOC season.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that's something that we'll start seeing in the marketplace over the next couple weeks is the teams that were kind of maybe a bit more fringe may see their prices actually start to increase a bit as people want to get those for the playoffs. Because I think there's so much game theory that goes on for the playoffs where yes, your favorites. And I think it was Jay earlier shared in the chat, what the odds were. And you have Tampa, Kansas City, Arizona, at the top. But those are also going to be the most high owned of the playoff contest, and getting some game theory, some strategy aspects going contrarian does come into play. And so if we do see someone like the Chargers actually make the playoffs, Minnesota make the playoffs, Cincinnati, teams that aren't going to be the favorites but could go on a run and have high-powered offenses. Those are the cards that I think are going to we'll see some increases in prices over the next few weeks. All right, anything else before we go over to some position-by-position analysis?
Let's do it.
All right, so for those that missed the show last week or so, when Bach and I kind of went through how we, take the low ask of the marketplace as well as the projections, both of these readily available on the site. Check out that previous show where we kind of broke down how we do the analysis, how we kind of, come up with this, but it's very simple. But that's what we've done again. And so what we're going to do is we're basically just taking the low ask of the price, the projection of the site, the points per dollar is more of just like a visual, just give you an idea. And we've added some notes, and Bach and I'll go through the various positions and talk through where we see kind of some of the values and such. So right now, these are all sorted by projected points. So as you see in column E, and then what we'll do is take a look at kind of the high end ones, and then also can look at the cheap, but I'll start off here. And Bach, what I did is I kind of identified in this group, you see where there's some strong values. And I believe that's Philly, Minnesota, and Indy. Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has actually the past few weeks not only looked like a great fantasy quarterback, but also real life. And I think he's actually playing himself into a starter job next year, which a few weeks ago, not many may have expected. So I think in this situation, you're getting the Giants. We saw how bad the Giants were, obviously, on Monday Night Football, 2 nights ago here in Tampa. That can definitely have some individual position upside. Minnesota, we don't think of Kirk Cousins as having any kind of upside on the ground, but I believe he's set some kind of record where it's like the most amount of 300-plus yard games with 3+ TDs. Like, just that offense is just such a strong offense. And when you're able to get someone who's the 6th highest projected for near the floor of only $25, if you're looking to maybe get a bit more unique with a play for this week and at a cheap value, I think that's a strong one there. And then, Bach, you want to talk through Indy? I think you might have liked this one a little, and obviously at the cheapest. Hey, going against Tampa, as you said, you're not going to be able to run much, so maybe Carson Wentz has a bit more luck in the air.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Indy, right, like that relative price per dollar, like you look at them kind of middle of the road total projection, relative price per dollar, super cheap. Like it's going to be hard for me to play them straight up over the Tampa quarterback if I have them, straight up over the Buffalo quarterback if I have them. But, if my one good quarterback was Kansas City and I need to hit the marketplace for someone, I'm looking at that price. They're super cheap. Tampa has been worse against the pass than the run this year and consistently for the last couple of years. And, when you're playing Indy, you've got a key on Jonathan Taylor. And, yeah, he's tough to stop, right? That's why he's, arguably like the best running back in the best healthy running back in the league right now. But at the same time, like, that gives you more opportunities in a projected shootout game for Indy to need to pass the ball. And, that's where Tampa's been vulnerable. So, if you're sitting here in the, week 12, looking at the Arizona Kansas City bye week, or just saying, hey, I won a little last week and I want to give myself the best chance this week. Like, you could do a lot worse than the Indy quarterback for almost the stone min at quarterback pricing.
It makes sense. And one thing I want to keep an eye on as we go through this is the teams that are playing on Thursday night, on Thursday. And what we start seeing is Detroit's playing. Nobody's excited about Detroit except for the low ball, but because they're playing Thursday, look how much that's already jumped up. And same with Chicago, $37, $65. You can tell people have been getting ahead thinking that those have pretty solid chances at being in the low ball. Worth just kind of keeping through, and now it's not always the case, but I think just same thing here. The most too expensive, Buffalo and Dallas. So those may be a little late to the party for if you're trying to get in on Thursdays, but maybe some of the other ones we'll keep an eye on and maybe have some value. All right, let's go on over to running back. Running back, we've got one big standout here. Bach, talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking through this last night, it was just like flashing red, right? I mean, Denver, is not a big name offense, but they want to run the ball. Their running backs have been top 10 on the year because they're splitting work evenly between Melvin and Javonte, and have been pretty effective with both of them. And the matchup here is just absolutely pristine. Los Angeles, I think, is the third worst run D in terms of fantasy points allowed to other running backs. This is a relatively high total game, and definitely one where Denver's knows they have to put up points to win. They're not going to be able to shut down the Los Angeles offense. And so, for essentially, I think the third lowest price on this sheet, Denver just the fourth lowest price on this sheet. Denver just such a huge opportunity relative to value. Like, we're projecting them to be a top 5, and they're just virtually free compared to all the other positions that you're playing here.
Yeah, and no, you had it right. They are third cheapest, because cheapest is New York, and then second cheapest down here. Wanted to highlight this as well, but Miami running back near the floor in price, second cheapest, and substantially fewer projection points than any other running back. I would be shocked if this isn't the highest owned play for the low ball this week. It 100% should be. Even when Miami wants to run the ball, they can't. I think even last week was like the best yards per carry they've had for a while. And it was like 23 carries for maybe like 80 yards. Before that, they've been getting something horrible, like just not getting more than 3 yards per carry, but continuing to try it inside the red zone. Now that Tua is back, you've got Tua who's taken away even from some of the running back TD equity there. Just a bad game. They're somehow they're playing against Carolina. Even Carolina still is a bit of a pass funnel offense. Everything rings that, hey, this should be a very low scoring game from the Miami running backs, and you can get them at virtually stone min. I think I made a note here. Miami is the second worst scoring running back in the season, and across the season they've had 5 single-digit TOC scores in the season, and that's what you need for the low ball.
Yeah, they've got a low expectation, a super low floor. I mean, last week, Miami was running like Isaiah Ford out of the shotgun, out of the Wildcat in the red zone. Like, they're trying to do everything they can to not put the ball in their running back's hands. Myles Gaskins fell into the end zone last week, but they are not interested in – they don't have the talent at running back, and they're not interested in featuring that talent creatively.
Now, Bachman, you mentioned using a wide receiver as a running back. That is a great transition. Why don't you talk about the team in the middle to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco wide receiver is definitely not a position that coming into the season we would have been like, that's the one you got to have. But they've been super high scoring, and part of that is like that is where all of their offensive production is coming from this year, virtually, with the injuries at running back. Like last week's Debo usage as a runner is just like it increases their floor so much, it increases their ceiling so much, and we don't know exactly like what they're going to do when they get a little bit healthier at running back. Last week they were out Elijah Mitchell and Jeff Wilson stepped in. Jermichael Hasty was also out. I think this week, they could be a little bit healthier at running back, but clearly they've realized that the way that they're going to be successful is get the ball into Debo's hands, running the ball, or get the ball in Debo's hands, period. Get him touches running the ball. And now all of a sudden you've got Brandon Ayuk like alive again.
Really well.
And so, this is again, like when you look at the projection here, kind of middle of the pack, there's kind of a shelf between the top teams in the middle of the pack, but like that's an average. The ceiling projection here for San Francisco still exists. This is an interesting like potential shootout game. And, you've just got such a locked in usage from San Francisco here.
Yep. Other two I'll throw on. So definitely looks like strong values. I think this New England one is most interesting. Definitely would not be thinking about New England wide receivers as a strong play. However, the past 2 34-plus point games for wide receivers in the last 5 weeks. Mac Jones has clearly been the top rookie quarterback this year. Jonnu Smith hasn't done anything. Hunter Henry has some usage in the end zone. The running backs, they've been filtering through injuries and stuff. And so I think it's a bit of you definitely call it a riskier play, but we have seen they have upside. And that, Belichick, more than anything, he's a strategy coach. He's going to pick on your weaknesses. And so if he can find and thinks that, hey, the way to beat you is through the air, through the wide receivers, he will leverage that. And that's what we have seen and how they got those 2 34-plus point games in the last 5. And we're talking stone min and probably very low owned for the main event if you wanted to go with that for as an upside play.
Yeah. And again, another offense that's going to like figure out ways to do creative stuff, passing TDs from the wide receivers, rushing TDs from wide receivers. Like they're going to get the ball in playmakers' hands, and they've got like,
wide receiver passing touchdowns too.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And so, I think the risk with New England is always just that the game environment is not good, especially like when you look at this week. Tennessee is the one of the lowest total, maybe the lowest total. Actually, I think currently the lowest totaled team on the slate. And so there's there's a chance that this end turns into, New England gets a lead and Belichick just sits on the ball and runs the clock out because he wants to win in the most efficient way possible. But if Tennessee shows up a little bit, you got to pass some. Definitely opportunity.
To that point, they're probably the only team on this list that has an opportunity to be the highest scoring of the week and the lowest scoring.
Yes, for sure.
And it's all about what game strategy, what game plan Belichick comes in, and then a little to do with what Tennessee do we see show up. But yeah. Jets are the other one. I think for here, it's just you've playing against a bad team. It has that shootout potential. The underlying metrics, the Vegas don't look that great. But if you are just looking for something and it's pretty cheap, like there is still some upside. And Elijah Moore has looked fantastic the past 2 weeks. Throw in that Crowder still getting touchdowns. Like that team won't throw. I think the big risk here is that Zach Wilson might be coming back. So that would scare me a little. But worth at least including them. Not on the cheapest.
The Jets are the eighth highest scoring wide receivers on the year. They're ahead of Kansas City wide receivers on the year.
That's crazy.
Like
How many people do you think would guess that?
None. Zero.
If you had to guess your top 10 performing wide receivers so far this year,
I would
have even though we know they have had good games, I still would never guess them.
If you put your bottom 4 wide receivers, everyone would have guessed the Jets. Yeah. There's just not. Besides Elijah Moore, that's just not a group that you're looking at thinking there's a ton of talent. There's so much uncertainty at quarterback, and even despite the uncertainty at quarterback being worse than you would have expected at the beginning of the year, they're still putting up those numbers. So yeah, it's just craziness.
Yeah, very, very true. And I think a benefit is that their running back game is so bad. Michael Carter is going to be out as well, and he's been getting some legit receptions. They might be passing more to their wide receivers. They have virtually no tight end aspect. So whenever they throw the ball, it's likely going to go to a wide receiver. So I think that's a big plus for them here. We shall see. But other thing I was going to mention is not on the value side, but that Tampa wide receiver compared to some of the others, still seems like a solid value. A lot of their play the past 4 or so weeks, you didn't have Antonio Brown. He's now back and healthy. We're missing Chris Godwin for a couple weeks, maybe a week or 2 as well. I think when that team starts clicking, playing down in Tampa, so when the cold weather hits, you're still going to have, I think that is a great one, not only for this week, it has the upside, but I think going forward, especially with the playoffs, I think that's still a value even at the 133.
Yeah, completely agree. And, by the way, that only enhances in value. Those top teams in general, but especially that Tampa only enhances in value with the playoff announcement, right? They're still the Super Bowl favorites. And, in the NFC, not going to play LA until the end. So.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, these prices are based off, I believe, late last night or early this morning. After that announcement, I'm sure we'll see some movement if people have not already been capitalizing. All right, let's go over to tight end. Tight end is interesting this week because why, Bachman?
No Travis Kelce.
No Kansas City.
Now I know why you guys didn't want to do the optimal lineup game this week. Okay.
How
you didn't want to have to decide and pick another tight end. So you're like, you know what? We've got a new format idea, and we think now would be the perfect time to do that.
We'll test it. We'll see if we go back next.
Yeah.
So with no Kansas City up top, this is wide open. And Cleveland and Denver have been 2 of those sleeper teams that we've liked to throw out there. And the main reason why is because they have multiple tight ends that can put up points. Vegas Yep, Darren Waller's fantastic. Atlanta, Kyle Pitts is great. But they don't have the multiple tight ends aspect, and that's what really drives Cleveland and Denver higher up. Bachman, why don't you take one of these, and we'll go forward.
Yeah. I mean, I'll start with Denver. Just, we talked already about running backs being a huge value, but you look at the other side and like, okay, what happens if Denver gets down big early? They have to pass to keep up. Their wide receivers have been super injured all season. They've been dealing with a ton of wide receiver injuries, but Noah Fant's been a huge part of their offense. And then Alberto's coming in to complement that, as you said. And if if they need to throw a bunch to keep up, there's a reasonable share that's going to go to tight ends for this relatively low price. Tight end's a dart throw, but you can talk yourself into a game environment here where this is the best dart throw to make if you need to go out shopping.
I think my concern with Denver is they actually have so many weapons on offense now. If only next year they can get a QB who can actually, distribute the ball. But I mean, what we just saw in the past week, Tim Patrick, long-term contract, Cortland Sutton, long-term contract, obviously still have Jerry Jeudy. You've got 2 tight ends there with Noah Fant and Albert O. You've got the 2 running backs. Like there's a lot of mouths to feed. I think that's the risk here. The upside though is 2 of those mouths are very strong offensive tight ends, and at $24, third highest projection, that seems like where I'd be shopping if I'm looking for a bit of an upgrade or definitely a Kansas City replacement for this week. Moving to Cleveland, the opposite of Denver with regards to weapons. Virtually, I mean, Jarvis Landry, I don't know. It's hard to say because I do like people like Donovan Peoples-Jones and stuff, and what Schwartz has done, has in spots this year. But that wide receiver core is not great. And they do not like to throw to that wide receiver core around the end zone either. It's always either we get Chubb, we get the running backs, or we're going to go to our tight ends. And here you've got 3 tight ends that are in play for that team with Njoku, with Harrison Bryant, and obviously with Hooper. All of them have a chance in the red zone. And with this game, with receptions not counting, it's really about yards and touchdowns. For the tight end position, it's about touchdowns. This is the team that I think has the best chance of a tight end scoring a touchdown, if not multiple touchdowns. And only $30 for the top, for the highest projected team. Anything else?
It really does make things wide open with tight end. You could see almost any of the ones on the board being the top scorer of the week. Not that we haven't seen that all week or all year, because Kansas City hasn't been as dominant as we would have expected. But it'll be interesting.
But projections, they've still been the top. The difference is they haven't resulted there. But yeah, exactly.
And interesting, I just pulled up the research tab. Shout out to SB Mitchell for such a great tool. But you look at it, and Kansas City's still averaging 30% more tight end points than any other team on the season so far. They just haven't. I think the thing that makes us think like Kansas City hasn't been great is they don't have those ceiling games. They've got a 20, they've got a couple of 18s, they've got 3 18s. Like those are week winners at tight end most weeks. But they haven't had those ceiling games. They're still the top. And, you look at the top 4 tight end teams on the season average scoring: Kansas City, Las Vegas, Baltimore, Atlanta. If you were going to rank the 4 most talented the 5 most talented tight ends, 4 of them would be there, right? You would have thrown in George Kittle from San Francisco. But, tight end is like low floor, high variance. The thing that you're chasing is, like Justin said, you're chasing touchdowns, you're chasing kind of week to week upside. And that's where, you could see Gronk coming back and catching a couple Gronk came back last week, but Gronk catching a couple touchdowns and Tampa Bay wins a week. But there's, again, just thinking if we're shopping the marketplace for values, these are places that we would look this week.
Yeah. And I saw Ryan, the Foster Moreau disrespect. I know, but the thing is, Foster and Darren don't play on the field at the same time. It's kind of like the Logan Thomas and RSJ. Yeah, Foster has skills, but when Darren's healthy, there's no Foster. So it's still a 1 tight end team.
I do have to say, I'm a little bit floored by this Buffalo tight end $77 price tag. Like, I mean, They have not been
but that's because Thursday
this year. But
that's because of Thursday.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah,
I didn't mention the others, but we start seeing it across the board. But like the Thursday boost,
probably just people not
real.
listing them or delisting them if they had them listed. Yeah,
right. And people and the cheaper ones, people buying them up and stuff. And so you wait until the Thursday. And you're right. Like, does it deserve to be in a top 5 price for the? No, obviously not. But when you're getting that information, it changes everything. So.
Oh, we got. Maybe this is producer Coop's burner account, but what do we think? I think we touched on this either last week or the week before, but let's give producer Coop's boy some love here.
There you go. So big thing here is long-term dynasty, like career-wise. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think from a fantasy-wise, you're going to start drafting him as like a top 5 tight end, maybe next year, depending on who the QB is. The problem is the last couple of weeks is when Ebron came back, either last week or the week before, his snaps and his routes run really went down. He's still being used in high leverage situations, so still has that touchdown upside. But if Ebron's going to be healthy, it's not the greatest. Now, for us here, yeah, we love having Ebron. We like having Freiermuth. We like having both of them. But that entire offense is just never going to be high scoring enough. It's too slow paced. It's a game that Pittsburgh wins, they're winning it like 17-10. Their goal is to slow it down, have Najee Harris touch the ball 30 times, and that just limits the upside we're looking for in TOC.
Yeah, I will call out Justin saying all of that as Pittsburgh's coming off a 15-point tight end game with a couple touchdowns. But in general, yeah, you don't expect Pittsburgh to score 37 points very often. Pittsburgh feels like one of those teams to me that very much plays to their competition. When they play good teams, they play well, get into shootouts, lose them close. When they play bad teams, they play ugly games, win them close. I definitely think you could do worse than playing the Pittsburgh D, but not super excited to play anyone in that passing offense right now.
All right, cool. Let's close with some DST here. Okay. One standout that I really saw was Houston. 2 reasons here. One, anyone playing the Jets can be our top scoring DST of the week. Like, that's just fact. It is what it is, especially if Zach Wilson's going to come back. Second, Houston has put up 19 TOC points their last 2 weeks with no defensive touchdowns. I think they've given up a total of 30 points across those 2 games, 6 sacks, 10 turnovers. This defense has really shown up. And what better of a not get right, but stay right spot than playing against the Jets? So at $19, they're my favorite value defense for the week.
Yeah, we don't have it highlighted. I think I'd also look to Cincinnati. I know Pittsburgh's coming off that 37-point game, but Cincinnati gets Pittsburgh on the road not a short week. Pittsburgh played Sunday night, so slightly shorter week, not a super short week, but on the road. Cincinnati's pass rush has been really good this year, like surprisingly good. They just shut down Las Vegas, and again, they're cheap here. They've got a reasonably high projection, but Pittsburgh has been super all over the place on offense, and so you could definitely see a game environment where Cincinnati gets up a little early, Pittsburgh's forced to pass more than they want to, and Cincinnati's defensive line gets to kind of tee off there.
Okay. So I think that's it there. I think we touched on a lot of good things. I think we're going to let us know in the comments or afterwards, if you listen to this afterwards, whether or not this format worked. I kind of like the idea of just being able to talk through and make it a bit more actionable for everyone, for people that are interested in thinking through those lineups rather than just putting up that optimal there. Other than that, TJ, any other thoughts there, or we can kind of move on?
No, I think you guys broke down a lot of awesome stuff this week. I think really just smart the way that you're thinking about things. And also like how you mentioned, not just direct impacts for this week, but then also like thinking about, okay, if I buy this card to play it this week, what are the potential implications down the line? Is it going to be a playoff team? Do they have an upcoming matchup that is favorable, et cetera, et cetera? Really looking forward to tomorrow's games. We are not going to do the PrizePicks picks on the show today, but we will certainly be in Discord posting some picks tomorrow. I mean, lots of PrizePicks action. And
the reason why we're not doing the show tonight today is because there are 3 games tomorrow. And so what we're going to be is in that channel, probably trying to sneak away from my family, putting in some picks. But I think it'll be a fun day to get some good parlays in. So check out that channel.
I'm legal.
Yeah, where are you?
New Mexico. I'm legal. Yeah, I was looking at it this morning already. Andy Dalton over passing yards. Send it in.
Also, there is a promotion from PrizePicks for Thanksgiving. So the main promotion is that Josh Allen's passing yards, the line is going to be set to 0.5. So, I mean, I think that he's likely going to get over that. So this is going to be going live later tonight, I believe. So they'll be announcing that. So keep an eye out. I think they might be running some other promotions and flash sales throughout. Yeah, there it is, throughout the day as well. So definitely keep an eye out. We'll also make sure we mention these in the Discord channel. So if you have not already, and if you are in a state where you are able to play PrizePicks, head on over, promo code TOC, and you'll still get your 2 free single cards as well while supplies last. Maybe that may not last for too much longer after this sale. So we'll see how that goes. But excited for another fun day of PrizePicks tomorrow.
Ryan knows something we don't. Smash that under, especially because he would have to play but not get paid.
First play injury out for the game.
The only option is the first play. Like maybe he runs and gets injured and doesn't get any passing yards.
It's a $25 max, so it's basically a hey, here's $25 free dollars.
Yeah, it's a fun way to get people on board. So definitely check them out. Any final words, people? Again, sale begins really tomorrow at noon. Check that out. And sorry, Bach, go for it.
We just quick final word. We didn't acknowledge, but what an absolute smash by VT Laxer 09 this past week.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't even go over.
30-point blow. I mean, it's hard to fathom winning by 30 in the main event. And, I'm not going to pat myself on the back. Actually, I am. Yeah, pat myself on the back. Last week, we talked on the show, right? Everyone's going to be playing Kansas City. Everyone's going to be playing Dallas. You find another game that can go off. And that's exactly what happened, right? Green Bay, Minnesota was one of those slightly lower total games that we said hey, you might have some shootout potential. Leaderboards littered with them. But wow, 30. I mean, 30.
I think it was essentially, maybe aside from Arizona tight end I think it was 1 point off of the stone cold optimal. And I mean, almost 200 points is crazy.
Not the highest scoring total we've seen. I did go back and look, and I think week 4, B. Fitzer put up 198 in that week where that Tampa Bay
highest scoring week overall, maybe.
Yeah, but it was a super high scoring week
the field.
Yeah, not lapping the field like VT. I mean, there was no sweat here. There was no sweat at all on Sunday, Monday night.
Yeah, that was extremely impressive. And Bach, you asked me, you were like, is there any team that's a better play rest of season than the Indianapolis running back? And I think I was trying to find maybe Dallas I was leaning towards. And I think it's close, but it's so strong. I think they have the highest upside of any card going forward. I think other teams maybe have a better floor for games as we'll see against Tampa, where if they get behind, what happens? But it's impressive.
I mean, anyone that picked up, because Indianapolis running back was one that had that big game with the Jets.
They were $60 going into that game. $60
on Thursday night. So anyone that picked up Indianapolis running back prior to that is very, very happy. Also, I think we can do quick thoughts on NFL All Day, just announced by Dapper Labs as the new name today. I wonder if we tweeted earlier this week that Thanksgiving would be a great time. Then we saw the email come out last night. We saw the name get announced today. Do we think that it's going to be live tomorrow in private beta, or do we think that and then thoughts on the name itself?
Yeah, back-to-back big announcements is that's repetition, and you see the gap closing. So I think it's definitely possible. I do believe it's going to go to a private beta when it does go live. We're pumped for it. Love the idea of being able to get in on it at the very or near the very beginning. Even if you're not in the private beta, I don't think it's going to be a big loss, because I think they will roll out more testing things and non-valuable things and the very, very common stuff early on, and then make sure that, hey, when it's time for the real valuable stuff, I think they're calling it the iconic sets and stuff. That's when it's going to be a bit more open up to people, so we all get a chance. But so pumped. Going to be so fun. We'll probably be tweeting over Thanksgiving tomorrow when we see some all-day plays. We may want to, maybe there's a 2-minute game-winning drive. You take a look, it looks like there's these melts. That's going to be a bit more than one play. So maybe an offensive lineman has like 4 pancakes, or a defensive, who was it, had 6 sacks in a game this year. Like, I think those would be cool. And then there's also like you had a 2-minute drive, a big comeback or something, game-winning drive, so you can get the whole play. So I'm pumped. Hopefully they've learned some lessons, and I have confidence they did throughout the whole Top Shot, and just getting kind of a chance to run it back is going to be fun.
Yeah, Chandler Jones had 5. I had to look it up, but that was the one this year. Yeah, I think, my very, very, very quick thoughts. Biggest news of it was the compilations and like the drives and the multiple plays strung together. I think that's a cool twist that's especially relevant for the NFL as opposed to the NBA. But you would love to see them do something like that for Top Shot too, right? When you get a Reggie Miller quarter or a Klay Thompson quarter, having a moment for all of that, and thinking about like seeing them introduce this to start and then roll that out to Top Shot gets me really excited about the product.
Yep. Last thing I'll say is we do have stuff already on the OTM site talking through how we'd be thinking about these from a strategy aspect, from a collector's aspect. So go through the archives, check those out. Some good articles.
Yep. And we absolutely will be putting together an analytics site for NFL All Day. We're going to be getting a landing page up shortly, or we'll pull in just some other updates from the Twitter account, and maybe we'll do a podcast diving into NFL All Day if it indeed does go live, just giving our thoughts. It's been a while since we've done a pod focused on those, so we'll have one of those coming your guys' way sometime in the next couple of weeks here. It is a busy time of year with the holidays, though, but really, really looking forward to that.
Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Enjoy the turkeys, and we will talk with you guys next week. So that'll be it for today. Good afternoon. Happy Thanksgiving. On behalf of Justin, Bach, and producer Coop, I'm TJ Lasig. We'll see you guys next time.